Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What's up, everybody? We back for the next part of the tutorial series. It's been a hot minute. I've been busy. Just got out of Ramadan. Finally trying to start back to finishing up this tutorial. We're going to go ahead and knock out the ladders. Last time we left off, we worked on the function where you can get the player to turn up the ladder. So now we're going to go and finish this off. And we're going to set up the function to let the logic for how it should act whenever we go down the ladder. So the first thing we're going to do is, as our player reference, we need to, first we're going to need a branch. We always start off with a branch just about. We need to do the climb transition. Get climb transition. Get climbing. And we need to check both of these are not. So we need to make sure that both of these are set to not. And because we want to, if we're in the process of climbing or we're transitioning from climbing, we don't want to have to keep turning the player or keep running this logic. So only if this is true. If neither one of these is true, then there we go. Then let's go to set climb transition, because if that's false, we are going to start transitioning into our climbing animation. That's one thing I forgot. I can't remember. Set. We're going to set our player reference. Set our player reference, and we can go ahead and replace these, keep it nice and neat. Get player reference 1, get. Boom, boom. And now we're going to disable input. We want to stop the player from being able to do anything once they're playing the animation to get on the ladder. So we want to stop them temporarily. And then we're going to play montage, play and a montage. And we need to play our, oh yeah, right. If I didn't show this, I did create and a montage, and I did it twice. I did one, the normal one, which is this one, which is the normal one. And I created a second one. Let me go back. Which is the one I'm going to use for the ladder. I created a second one. And I just turned the rate scale to -1 so it can go backwards. And I added this. Let me pause. Once I get this out of the way. If it'll get out of the way. Montage. Pause. I added this notification about right here. Because right here is when we want to start the player to move onto the ladder. And in the same way for the other one, vice versa. There's a spot here where we want the player to start moving upwards off the ladder. So one thing we're going to also need to do, we need to get a reference to our character mesh. I got to switch it up. I did the wrong thing, even though Anna montage would work, but I wanted to do it like this. So we're going to play montage. And we need to, we could have did it from here too, just do -1, but we're going to do the play rate is 1.67 because that's the end of our reverse animation. So after we do the disable input, we're going to play this montage. And then while it's doing that, we need to basically do what we did up here for the turn player up. And we're going to clean all these blueprints up in a minute. Once I get to a point where I want to stop. But we're going to go here. And the next thing we need to do is set the lerp alpha turn. Set it to 0. Then we're going to need to set actor rotation. Let's do it from here. Get set actor. I'm going to go ahead and set the actor rotation. And we're going to need to lerp the rotator. Same thing, we're going to basically gradually turn our player over time. Split this, connect this, boom, boom, boom. Always take the shortest path. And we need our lerp alpha turn, boom. And we need our proper Z rotation. So now we need to go here, get actor rotation. We're going to need to break it, rotator. I wonder if I could just split it from here. Why I gotta do it from that? Just split. Let's just split it from here. And then do the yaw, right? That should be correct. Let's make sure I was doing that correctly in my head. And then we're going to delay until the next tick. Branch. And we're going to need to get the lerp alpha turn. If it's greater than or equal to 1, or connect here. And the other or condition we're going to see is if our proper Z rotation and the actor rotation right here, if they're nearly equal. And we'll say the error tolerance is 0.01. If they're nearly equal, then we'll also stop. So if either one of these is true, we will now set our lerp alpha turn. And we'll get our player reference. Set actor rotation. And it will also get actor rotation. Split. This can stay the same. The roll and the pitch can stay the same. And we'll set these yaw to the proper yaw that we have set for the ladder. So basically, if the lerp alpha turn is greater than or equal to 0, after it's gonna do a calculation between these 2 points. If it's greater than or equal to 1, that means we made it to that spot. Or if these two are nearly equal, then it's made it to a spot, and then we're just gonna set it to 0 and set the rotation to the correct rotation. That way it doesn't keep going on itself. And if it's false, we're going to set lerp alpha turn to lerp, get lerp alpha turn, plus we're going to add it by 0.001. And then we'll go back to here. So basically it's going to gradually increase the percentage until we get to 1. 1 is 100% there. So we're going to gradually turn our player to face the ladder when we're going down. And that is all set up. There is also one thing we got to set up too, is on the blend out, we need to get our player reference. On the blend out, we want to set climb transition to false. And we also want to set the climbing to true, because now he's climbing down the ladder. Boom, boom, boom. Funny thing about this, people said when you make blueprints, it gets messy really fast. That's why coding is always cleaner, and you can definitely see how it's starting to get messy now. But like I said, we're going to spend a whole episode or a tutorial part just cleaning this up, because it's definitely getting messy. All right, let's move all this. Let's move all this out of the way. All right, cool. One other thing we need to change now is on the notify begin, because this is very important. On the notify begin, the notification that it's going to call is this. Get over here. Once it, oh my goodness, what am I doing? Once it gets to this point, boom, it's going to send a notification. So once that notification comes out, we want to now move the player. So we're going to do get a player reference again. And we need to get a reference to the capsule component. Scroll all the way down. Should be at the bottom. Yep, get capsule component. And we need to move component to, because Because if we move the capsule, everything is going to move. Because that's basically the root of the character. So move that. And we're going to move it to, first off, target relative location. We need to get a reference to something. Get world location. Split this. The relative yaw. This can stay the same. The Z can stay the same. But the X and Y is going to change. So we need to now get a reference to this. That's why we created this. Our 0.2 in the cone. This is where we're going to decide like where we want the player to end up when they get on the ladder. So that's why I created this if you was wondering why it was there. So now this is where it comes into play. Get world location. Get world location. We're going to split this. We need the X and Y. And we're going to do 0.25 should be good. Because by that time, so 0.25 later, what's it? 125? Okay, cool. Yeah, about right there. That's fine. So this, we did X and Y first. So X and Y, we're going to move the player this way. So once we start the first notification, we're going to move it here. And then we're going to move it down the ladder to get into proper position. So let's duplicate this. Now we're going to move it down. So the capsule component again. And this time we're going to I honestly could just, let's rejoin this, recombine. We're going to keep it nice and neat. Let's get it. Get world location. Boom. And then after that, get our reference to our player again, the player who's on the ladder, and we enable their input. Enable input. Boom. And then this, how much time left we got on the thing? About 0.25. What's that? I'm trying to do math in my head. That'll be about 9. All right, cool. So let's just do 0.75. See how that works out. Boom, boom, boom. And the last thing we need to get for the rotation is from our player reference again. I'm going to do it down here at the bottom. Trying to keep stuff neat, but it's already getting messy. We need to get our forward vector. And we need to make, I believe, let me check what I did last time. From X. Okay, make rotation from X. Boom. Boom. Cool beans. And we should be all good to go. And we can test that out now. Okay, so I figured out what I did wrong. So what I forgot to do is I forgot to check this box right here that says top ladder. Because whenever the top ladder is selected and we overlap that first collision box, it'll set the reference on the turn player down for us to have that, and it'll call it. So that's what I forgot to do. I forgot to check the top ladder boolean right here. And also one thing I forgot to do is we got to go here and go to the point cone, and we've got to turn the collision off. No, let's turn that no. And then no collision. Actually, no. Let's do custom. Custom, and then just ignore everything. And also we got to hide it in the game. Hidden in game. Boom. Cast. Shadow, no. Boom, boom, boom. Now let's go back. and do this. Just test it out again. Go out to the ladder. Boom, and we're on the ladder. And you can see it'll keep going down even if there's no bottom to the ladder.